morning, and I am Jennifer Sonko. We apologize for the 4 minutes late start, but here we are now, about to educate you and entertain you at the same time. Ibrahima, good morning. Sambahana bahana de.
Yeah, no, man, ma defe ko ni rek. Xam nga yefi
kilifa.
Man belegi si tobaski la nek. Xam nga affaire tobaski bi belegi ma ngi yek xar bi. Xam nga suba ñew na man ma ngi yek xar. Waaw, so belegi xar ba ngeen.
Waaye man demba dama tok rek suma xel bi dem si mobile satellite bi may ré. Xawma lu xew man mënu ma génné lolu suma xel bi. Mobile bu amut sim bi no.
Mobile satellite mobile. Baiko, yes, it's good to be back here on another edition of This Morning. And of course, yes, we are back as usual.
Yeah. Mr. Mboj, good morning. Kacho buñ ak yow de ndax demba nekkulo fi won demba. Kon naka sa tubaski? Naka nga doxale sa tubaski? Foog nga update ñu?
It was fantastic. I was with my kids.
That's amazing.
So I enjoyed it.
You did?
Of course.
Okay, so what's the beauty behind, being with your kids on Tubaski?
All right, because I don't live with them ordinarily.
Yeah.
So to me, Tubaski is about family, really. That is why afterwards we go around to our family, getting our ndewena.
Yeah.
You remember, that's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So it was fantastic seeing them. I mean, being with your kids, whether it's Tubaski or not, that in itself is so gratifying.
It is.
It's an extraordinary feeling that you get when with your children, or with loved ones generally.
Why, Mr. Mboj, have time because you ko de?
Just
na nga def ndax ban? Taka.
Well, how much?
I knew we were heading there. Yeah, but anyway, Eid Mubarak. We're just catching up now. Yeah, I'm happy that you celebrated it in a beautiful way. So as usual, we have the African Proverb. We have the newspaper review. Our guest is already here, Momodu Mboj, to help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the papers. And on Community Watch today, we'll be taking a look at President Adama Barrow embarking on side visits of ongoing development projects. I'm already aware that he will also be visiting OIC projects as well, to just check progress when it comes to these projects. Also, the VIP lounge, the airport, Ibrahima, you saw the list of different places that he'll be visiting, right? Not yet, but the list is there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. We saw the list of places that the president will be visiting, and then Ansumana Isonyasi will be live there to update us in relation to the president's perception after taking a look at all these development projects. Looking forward to that. And on social issues, interesting, the NIA9 trial, we'll be joined by Mamadou Lamin Choi here, who was there till 10 p.m. yesterday to actually give us all the information that we need in relation to that case. And also we'll be joined by victim Fatimata Sandeng, Solo Sandeng's daughter, on a phone call from Germany to actually tell us how she's feeling. Justice is finally served. Looking forward to, the conversation with her. She also appeared on the TRRC on behalf of the family. I can remember to just, give a testimony. And yeah, finally we're here today. It's a good thing. And on Click segment, we'll be joined by the one and only Bobo Dimo. I love him. I do not understand what he says, but I love Bobo Dimo. Reason is because he's both an activist, he's an activist singer, using his music to actually make sure he advocates for certain things, especially SGBV, So he's doing a good job. So Ibrahim, what is our African proverb?
Yes, today our African proverb is from Nigeria, straight from Abuja. And it reads, he who is afraid of doing too much always does too little. He who is afraid of doing too much always does too little. It's a Nigerian proverb.
Okay.
Yes. So, I don't know, Mr. Mboj, if you're afraid of doing too much, you will do too little.
It's an intriguing one, isn't it? This one. I've never seen it before. And when I read it, it took me straight to, what do you mean by doing too much? You know what I mean? There's really no such thing as, I'm right to not know. This is very strange. What does it mean to do too much? That's one. And why should I be afraid of doing too much? And you begin to realize that there are actually quite a good number of sayings related to being too much or too little. You do hear stuff like people who talk too much do too little. So you get this correlation between these two terms about thinking too much or doing too much and then performing less. So this is the key. My ambition must always be really very high. That's really what I'm getting from this. There's really no such thing as too much. My ambition must always be really high, obviously rooted in reality. Don't be a fantasist. You're not going to achieve it.
Yeah.
Rooted in reality, but the highest expression of reality that I can muster, that I can see. So that's how I see these things.
Sometimes people say, oh, this particular person is over-ambitious, but it's good to be. You know, and for me, there's nothing like over-ambitious. For me, I don't know what your take is on that. Or being over-ambitious to me shouldn't even exist.
I mean, for me, the idea, the crucial crux here is sort of being anchored in reality.
Yes.
That's what it is. Maybe when people say you are over-ambitious, they're like, you are not taking your own circumstance, your own reality really into account. So you're aiming for something that when we look at your circumstance, it seems unlikely.
Yes.
I wouldn't dare to say that it is unachievable. Who can decide that? But it just seems unlikely. So here we're working on probability.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people mean by over-ambitious. But to my mind, my ambition must go to the highest. Really, it must be really high, but I must not have this fantasies sort of views of myself or the circumstances.
And the fantasy you're talking about, it's a huge problem. Takes me to the issue of procrastinating things. You know, you have all these brilliant ideas, but if you don't implement it, you know, sometimes you have business ideas and you sit on them and someone else comes and implements it. You can't implement it immediately, the person does, because probably it's the same thing. So sometimes when you have these ideas, it's not about just sitting on it, but it's about getting up to spread the word or just do something.
What do they call it? Procrastination is the thief of time.
It is. And then if you try it, you get to lose so many things, you know?
So whatever you feel that you need to do immediately.
Get up.
Or do at the right time. You have to judge these things. All of these things are about judgment. So just get up and do. And make sure that you are realistic in your plan, as they call it, smart goal setting, as it were. So you have to be realistic about circumstances and just do your best. You can never guarantee outcomes. Just do your best.
Yeah, meaning doing it at the right time, kind of like analyzing circumstances. And like you mentioned, sometimes there are just certain things that are unrealistic at certain points in time. So it's about trying to achieve that at the right time. But sometimes how do you also measure the right time?
But
that's where the problem is.
That is precisely the key. That is why when I find myself in a debate and people start responding in a manner like, oh, this is my opinion, that's my opinion. I say opinions are fine, but they must be informed opinions.
They have,
There is an objective reality out there. I may think whatever, but again, in my actions, really, my actions will have to collide with reality. And when they are, when the belief, the argument that really infused the action, when it's not sound, then maybe I wouldn't get the right outcomes. It
annoys me when I'm actually in debates and people can't give me like something substantial. Like they call it sky talk. Like when people, and it happens in the Gambia a lot. Sometimes I listen to certain debates, I see certain debates on social media, and I just see people just saying things without backing it with some form of facts. And that defeats the whole purpose.
It can be anywhere. So it's not simply enough to say, well, this is my opinion. That's childish in many ways. Anybody can have opinions, really, but they must be informed. I must back it with argument. That's exactly facts. So that is it. But if I decide not to do that, well, that's your choice. All we know is that there's a reality out there.
There is.
When your opinions are based on ideas that are not sound, in a way, you will pay the price.
You will,
because when you act, you are not going to get the outcomes you want. Then you start blaming all sorts of people.
And this is the current reality. Interestingly, it is the current reality. You know, when you see even debates that has to do with national development. I think brilliant African proverb. It's getting into the system right now.
He who is afraid of doing too much always does too little.
Too little. Yeah.
Thank you.
So make sure, you know, starting from next week, if you want to do something, get up. Do not hesitate. Get up and go and do it. You know, even if you do not achieve it fully, but just feeling fulfilled that you've taken a step is just, you know, one thing. So, you know,
adjust ambition to what is possible, possibilities and probabilities. Always adjust it to that.
Yes.
Then the idea of too much or too little maybe wouldn't
become a problem. Yeah. So from that, we will go for a short. Mr. Bojo, man, I'm going to Malabugal small.
It's mutual. Huh?
So we will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the newspaper review. We'll be right back.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
to build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
with ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. Ibrahim, so we head right on to the newspaper review. Exactly. That's the point.
This is the point newspaper, and it reads, Bafuloto murder suspect remanded at mile 2. And of course, Dabo to meet Barrow soon, says government spokesperson. Interesting headline here. And of course, Momodu Lamin Bah is new Gambian ambassador to the US. Team Kaba vows to transform Gambia's football. We'll ask a lot of questions. How is he going to do that in 4 years after being here for 8 years? So that's what we have on the point newspaper.
Yes, so on Foray here, we have suspended health workers to apologize to PS Jaite, according to the papers here. And also Pura moves to investigate a certain root causes of frequent fiber cuts. And also carton fish processors call for assistance for storage facilities. And here, the Transport Union presents new fare increment demand to government. And also Gambia completes 1 out of 5 OIC projects embarked for 2022 OIC Summit. And Bob Keita case, court affirms that DNA tests will proceed as ordered. And the Voice here, Team Kaba vows to transform Gambia's football. And President Barrow can't rule in absence of lawyer Dabo. Okay, okay, interesting. Gambia's government applauded a ban on timber export. And yeah, that is all we have here. Ibrahima.
Yes.
So we had right on, we dig right.
Interesting.
Yes,
so I think it's important. I mean, this have to do with the Gambia. It's a state matter. I mean, Dabo to meet Barrow soon. You know, the government spokesperson was on Coffee Time on West Coast Radio, where he said this. I mean, although the meeting date is not yet, scheduled, but Dabo is to meet Barrow very soon. Don't you think this is a good move?
It's a good gesture. Certainly, when they meet, what are they going to talk about? Yes, of course, there's been this rift, you know, between them. So for me, really, anything that reconciles is, on the face of it, a good thing. So what else can anybody say about this, really, except for the fact that it's a wonderful thing? After all, I mean, he was really a protege, can we say that? A protege of Dabo for a very long time. used to call him what, my political godfather, wasn't it? Something like that, my political father, stuff like that. So should they reconcile on the face of it, one can only applaud it.
But I'm seeing another headline also telling us Barrow cannot rule without Dabo. Don't you think this is going to contradict?
Yeah,
I mean,
but to dig further into it, because that is quite vague, so to dig further into it, he's talking about, Honorable Yaya Sanyang is talking about the fact that UDP has more than 15 parliamentary seats in the parliament, and therefore Barrow needs the cooperation of UDP for effective governance. And again, he's talking about the fact that Barrow needs the talent of UDP militants, you know, to take the country forward. That's what he's talking about here. What's your take on that?
When it comes to the numbers, I'm not sure whether he's got that. We've got 58 members there, really, who voted and nominated. In the end, it's 58, isn't it? 53 voted, 5 nominated, and there are 15. So it depends on really how they negotiate, how they compromise within the House. These things happen all the time. Regarding talent, yes, the president can tap any talent he wants, really. But you see, this kind of political talk, I'm not sort of going to give it more weight than it deserves. You know what I mean? The person saying that is obviously a UDP member of parliament.
From the way it is.
That's it. So how would I respond? Well, he's going to say that anyway, isn't he? You know what I mean? So what difference would it make? What's the weight? What weight should I give it? I'm not going to give it much. Earlier on, we talked about President Barrow is going to meet Dabo. This is what they say that they're going to do. So when we see it, that would be interesting.
Dabo is
what
meeting
are they?
President Barrow.
Well, what are they going to talk about and whatever and stuff? So this President Barrow cannot rule without Dabo. Well, he's done it for how long? And he's even won
An election.
the election when Dabo was on the other side. So that in itself really compromises what this person has just said. That because it's obviously not true.
For me, you know, politics is politics, but at some point I think that we should just have an honest conversation to say, hey, let's come together. Election has passed, let's come together and see how best we can work together and forge ahead. Like, rather than this person can't go with this person. The moment you bring in those kinds of comments, then there's still some form of division. I don't know if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, but you must also realize that these things are easier said than
done. That's
Absolutely.
why I'm saying these are just political talk.
I wanted to say that. I mean, you might think that way, but someone outside might not think the same. I mean, you just mentioned it. I mean, the guy that released this, I mean, it's a UDP militant. You understand? So
UDP
they will always, I mean, say this thing anyway. So it's easy said than done.
Right. So moving on, let's talk about internet. Pura moves to investigate a certain root causes of frequent fiber cuts. You know, Gambia, there was a period where we had frequent fiber cuts all of the time, internet outages, and, you know, which has had significant impact in, you know, our economy in different ways. So now Pura, as the regulatory body, is now taking it upon itself to go and do the necessary investigation to understand where these, you know, fiber cuts come from and do what's necessary to prevent them and probably have a plan B.
Yes, but when we look at these things, they only really show, if you like, the structural inadequacies. These cuts, why do they happen? Is it as a result of vandalism? Or are they sort of honest accidents, and when we're constructing roads or whatever we are doing, stuff like that. So that really tells you about the structural inadequacies. Let us focus on getting the structures right. Yes, so what are they going to do? Am I going round to investigate what's going on? Granted. But again, what am I going to put there for their safety? Or am I going to keep on doing this in the year, maybe twice a year, or even 2 years? Do I have to keep doing this regularly? Or do I have a structure in place where I may not need to do this maybe, well, perhaps one in every 5 years? You know what I mean? I suppose even in the Western world, sometimes you face circumstances where your engineers may have to go and do whatever. So it's just the whatever service, you want it to be constant over a long period and that sort of thing. And we all know it's the structure. So you can get up, send your investigators everywhere, you know, we are going to do A, B, C, and D. But if I'm not consistent, if it is not sustainable,
absolutely,
it's not going to work.
Consistency.
First of all, something needs to be done. They have to identify where the cables are. Because I'm aware that even where the cable, you know, trying to identify where the cables are is the problem. You know, that has to be identified first. And then they can put, you know, the necessary infrastructure to protect, you know, the fragile ones.
This is what we've been talking about structurally.
Yeah.
What you've just said, I'm really staggered by it. That one would assume that you've got the engineers who would go and put in these cables, yet perhaps at the office they don't have a map of where things are, because when you say, that's when you say that they put in these cables, they don't know where these cables are. Now, that's an interesting situation. If it is true, let's put it that way. If it is true, that's quite staggering, really.
But it's Gambia.
What does that mean, though? You see, I can never accept that view. I mean, I have to be honest with you.
Same here, but sometimes I'm pushed to the wall.
No, what I mean is, I have lived an age, yes, I will go back to it during the Jawara period. I have lived an age where we were doing considerably better when it comes to public services,
than now.
People's attitudes. So I still have that high sense of myself as a Gambian. So this is really what I want to bring out. I think that we can do things, I can do things. I'm not cynical, I can never, because I've seen a period when we were doing relatively well, relative to other countries within our, so that's why I've got a high sense of who I am. I think I can do it. So when I hear the cynicism from the young especially, that's very worrying.
It is.
It is extremely worrying. You have to believe that you can do it. Otherwise, you're never going to do anything.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Boyd, the reason why sometimes I say individuals are pushed to the wall, just yesterday night I was reading the 2019 forensic report on state-owned enterprises. You know, I read all these state-owned enterprises, GPA, NAWEC, you know, GNPC, and I saw, you know, how much these, you know, state-owned enterprises are not doing what is expected. I'm talking about from 2019, and from 2019 there are certain things you can't adjust within, you know, a few years. So, you know, just reading that yesterday was some form of, you know, emotional disturbance, knowing that I'm a Gambian. You know, that comes, but we get to challenge
I think, I mean, those responsible will just take up the challenge, I mean, to make sure certain things are put in place. I mean, imagine not even knowing where some of the cables are. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, these are things that they should just, they have the money, they have everything, they have all these engineers who can do it. So it's a matter of just putting it in place and putting a proper system to monitor it from
because
their
even
offices.
the OIC construction affected some cables, according to the report by Momodu Gajaga, who attended this particular event that we are talking about. So if these things were known prior, then the construction will not affect anything. So that is a justification to say it's not known.
Yes.
Well, I mean, for the OIC, I do not tend to agree that it is not known, because, I mean, Falli was here. I mean, he said some of things that delayed it was, I mean, they are to remove certain cables from the ground, you know, along the road. So I think it's just a matter of being proactive and taking up certain responsibilities. Mr. Boyd, some cables have been here since the time of Chawara until today. You know, you don't even know if the cables are good anymore. So these are all things that should be put in place and change them, change the system. We need to change the system.
System change, right?
System change.
Mr. Balde, system change, attitudinal change, these are long-term projects, really. But today, tomorrow, next week, I have to take decisions regarding these institutions. Right. What do I do? So this delay that we've been told, so what can I do with this delay? was my planning inadequate? Did I factor into my plans some of these things that we need to face, some of these challenges we need to face? I do not know, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I know that anybody planning these things, I must go into the details and all the rest of it and have a realistic plan. How long will it take me to do A, B, C, and D and the like? Otherwise, my plan would almost seem open-ended. That's why all plans must have timelines, must be adequately detailed, as it were. Stuff like that. Yeah. So earlier on you talk about the state-owned enterprises.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? You just talked about something very interesting whereby there's certain things that require processes. It just not just happen. I was reading about one of the state-owned enterprises and I saw how that particular state-owned enterprise is so overstaffed, you know, and then they had to like remove certain staff, but it showed how much they have to pay in compensation if they had to do that. So they had to skip it. They wanted to like kind of take off a very radical decision to do that, but after they realized, you know, this has to be a process. So that further shows how much processes need to take place to be able to do certain things.
That's it, but then you go and ask yourself, what processes? There are potentially so many different processes with the state-owned enterprises. I mean, we've been reading about this for the past few years, be it World Bank reports and what's been going on here. I've even read one report where we are told that state-owned enterprises really take about 6% of GDP. They are not productive. We know that. Yeah. But again, there's another element, other societies, when they face these things, something called privatization. But with us, this is like a bête noire. You don't mention it. So we've got this sort of reflexive aversion, opposition to something called privatization. But when you look around the world, the best generator of money, of wealth, has been this privatization, as it were. It is the best generator of wealth. So maybe sooner or later, we will get over this reflexive, as it were, perception and begin to do the right stuff. We like to quote somebody like Lee Kuan Yew. He did it in Portugal, in Philippines.
Sorry.
He did it in Singapore. So, but when he looked at our system, he said possibly we got the economic model wrong. He was criticizing people like Nyerere, and I will say it now, I'm going to sound like iconoclastic. Granted, people like Nyerere, people like and others, Kaunda, who highly intelligent people. The heart was in the right place, but the economic model possibly was wrong. And look at it today. So there must be difficult questions, and we move away from doctrinaire. We've got these doctrinaire ideas, socialism, and all the rest of it.
All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Mboch, for that particular analysis. I enjoyed this particular review. And yeah, privatization, it is for you. Granted.
I'm a privatization czar.
Yeah, I see that. So we'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to social issues. So we'll be joined by Mamadou Lamin Choi, as well as Fatoumata Sandeng, Solo Sandeng's daughter. She'll be joining us live on a phone call from Germany to actually tell us what her take is on the NIA 9 trial. We'll be right back.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow. Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, crystal UHD ultra high definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at Q South Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boosterby Turntable. Contact us on 333-217 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm. Your favorite Q South service has gotten bigger. eFunkanta. Now you can loan bigger credit amounts to make life easier for you. Loan $75 and $100 and pay later. Yes, you heard me right. Get credit loan from $10 to $100 using eFunkanta by dialing *393#. Anytime you run out of credit, whether you want to buy Q Power, browse the internet, make urgent calls, or send SMS. eFunkanta is the service for you. Dial *393# and choose the loan amount of your choice with no hassle. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus, the pioneers of mobile loan service in the Gambia. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Sherry.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. I said thank you and bye to Mr. Mboch, but he's back here with us to further talk about the NIA9 trial, and also we are joined by award-winning journalist Mamadou Lamine Choi.
Thank you very
much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mamadou Lamine Choi. Yesterday you were at the court, 10 p.m. You know, so how was the experience, you know, being part of this particular journey, you know, witnessing the end?
Absolutely. It was quite important for me, even though I had some other coverages which I did. I think Mr. Mboch can attest. I had so much interest in covering the judgment because it's a highly significant case. And as a journalist, it is important for me. It is quite an honor. Looking at the fact that there were not even many media houses. I think it was only 2 media houses that were there, including QTV. And the coverage we've got is quite exceptional. And we're asking our viewers to do catch up with QTV News at 8 p.m. when we will be giving all the facts, or most of the facts about the judgment that was delivered yesterday.
Okay, so before we get into that, I'm aware that Fatoumata Sandeng, Solo Sandeng's daughter, is from Germany, is also on the line, Mr. Mboch. So we will just get to engage her. So she will stay with us throughout this particular discussion. And feel free to get to, you know, have an engagement with her at any point in time. So thank you so much for joining us, Fatoumata.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Fatoumata, I know, you know, this is an emotional moment for you and your family, and we're sending you some love and light. Finally, you know, this is the end of a journey. We can remember you at the TRRC giving your testimony there, and finally here we are. So how does this make you feel, the fact that we, you know, this particular case has ended finally and justice is served?
Just like you said, it's been a long trial, a long journey. If everyone remembers on April 16th, 2 days after his protest, the day it was pronounced that we took to the streets to ask for his remains, dead or alive. And we were nearly arrested ourselves as my family went into exile. And since then we've been doing everything we could to make sure that justice is served. And finally, it's a feeling that you demanded for his body 6 years ago, and today it's being said that the judgment is over and the body, the remains are going to be, delivered to the family. Also, it is a relief because one thing is factual: we cannot bring my dad back. But the fact that those who took part in his torture to death being brought to book, it also sets an example in the whole transitional justice process in the Gambia, in the history of the country, to know that you cannot kill innocent people and get away with it. Even though a lot of innocent people were killed, and almost, I would say, nothing has been done about it, but it was hidden. This one was really in a broad daylight, and the fact that it was known, the Sandeng family didn't let it go. And we know that we are not letting go of a lot of things. And like you said, it's emotional, it's relieving. It's also a good thing that the trial is finally over, and then the 6 years long trial has come to an end and they've been sentenced.
Yeah, so can you tell me about how the family, was faring throughout the trial process? Like you said, it's 6 years. So can you take us through the family aspect as well? How was everybody faring towards, looking forward to today?
Yeah, as much as sometimes emotions are really high. My siblings would ask me, what's going to happen with the remains? Don't you think we need to ask for it? We need to give my dad a befitting burial. I keep calming them because that's one thing that we couldn't have at the moment. The case was going on, and then the remains are needed for evidence. Even though we thought at some point we were supposed to be able to have the body, since we had identified the remains, DNA test was being conducted, everything was done. But it was really difficult with bureaucracy and everything with the justice system in the Gambia. We couldn't get the remains at that point. So that was something very emotional, because you would never get closure if you feel, as Muslims, as Gambians, with the culture and religion, you feel nothing has been done and the person is still here around you. You just can't see them. You can't, pray for them until you fell or everything. You can't get closure because he's not buried. And that was really a triggering thing in the family at some point. But even as such, I just want to commend everyone in my family and every Gambian who just bears me witness that this is a family that solo raised very well. My siblings, my mom, we don't fight with anyone. We don't. Yesterday at the courthouse, when people were trying to, bring some issues, I spoke to my mom. I said, "You stay where you are and don't move. Don't say a thing. You're not there to say a thing to those people. Let them react and do everything." The dignity and respect that we have for my father is one thing we keep and go with all the time. Nothing has been really, really amazing about my family. I just want to commend my mom for being the rock of the family, and everyone, my siblings, was holding together everything and just moving forward, making sure this was our goal, and we have achieved that yesterday.
Yeah, so, and again, let's talk about generally the Never Again campaign. This is, one can say this is a step towards that. But how far do you think we've gone, putting aside this trial, just taking a look at other dynamics, surrounding the whole transitional justice process?
Could you come again?
I'm talking about the whole transitional justice process in the Gambia, as a victim. What's your take on it? How far do you think we're going? Just putting aside this trial, I know this is a step that we can use to measure success, but just generally considering other dynamics, what's your take?
Yeah, we've been involved a lot in the transitional justice process. I mean, as a family and also as the Lufanic Foundation, together with other organizations. It's been a little tough with transitional justice in the Gambia. There is, I would say, an expression or a show of lack of political will in the Gambia, by the Gambia government, let's say the office of the president itself, to implement these recommendations. And now the white paper, we have to look at, is there a really specific roadmap as to how the recommendation or the accepted recommendation in the white paper are going to be carried out? These are challenges that we as civil society, as victims as organizations, as victims ourselves, are looking at. And we are working with the Ministry of Justice to make sure that these things happen. So the transitional justice system is facing some challenges. We think we need a more powerful political will. I mean, there are people who occupy offices who we hope will be offices like the National Assembly, will be ones that would encourage victims and speak in their voices. But, you know, contrary to that, we have people who sit there, hold the highest of positions in that house, who don't even believe in the transitional justice process. And this is funny. So the trial, the judgment yesterday is one win, but there is a lot more to be done for the transitional justice system to, you know, resonate to every Gambian, and never again mantra is kept.
Yeah, but sometimes it is said that, you know, we want to rush things. You know, in transitional justice, sometimes it's also important to recognize the importance of coordination. So sometimes that is also an argument on the other hand, because whatever the case might be, you know, the TRRC happened, we know the truth, and now the white paper is out, government has you know, accepted a majority of the recommendations, and now maybe we should just allow them to do the proper consultations for some form of implementation. What do you think?
So it's not about rushing. I think this is the misunderstanding. We as civil society, as victims, are saying do not rush. I don't know who's saying we're rushing. It's funny. We don't want it to be rushed, because you rush, you miss it. These are technical and they are really, really tricky. So you don't rush them. And we are seeing a tendency of the cases being rushed just to tick boxes. That's what we are saying. We don't rush these things, because if you go abruptly on something, look at the Solbaji case. It was rushed, it was not appropriately done, and now where is he? He was discharged, right? These are the things we are concerned about. We are not saying rush things. Do things properly. As long as they're done properly and the results are being shown, that is what's best for the victims themselves. So we're not rushing. We hope that things will not be rushed. They will be done properly.
So now that the white paper is out, a majority of the recommendations are accepted to be implemented by the government, what do you think should be the next step now? To ensure that it's a victim-centered approach, do you expect a consultation with victims in relation to the way forward for its implementation?
Right. The white paper was out, and then we've seen on the white paper that most of the recommendations were accepted, but two were rejected. So it's about accepting and rejecting. And we need to know the way forward at this point. You asked us what's the next step. We need to know how these plans or the acceptance of these things, how the implementation is going to take place. For example, if you accept that so-and-so be taken to court, how do you go about that? This is what we are looking at, and we are working with the Ministry of Justice to make sure that it's established, because we think that is one of the flaws of the white paper. It didn't really show a roadmap. It accepted and rejected and explained at some extent, but didn't give us somewhere we could put our feet on and say, okay, this is the first step or this is the second one. And as we advocated, there are some things that could be done overnight, like suspending some people from public office. It doesn't need a lot of things to be done or a long time to wait. So those things can be effective, you know, immediately. But there are some things that, like, just like I mentioned, really need thorough looking at, setting up a very, very, delicate and very, very comprehensive plan to go ahead with the, like, prosecutions, for example.
Yeah, so also there's a Solo Sanding Foundation. You know, can you just quickly update us about, you know, what the Solo Sanding Foundation has been doing? And now that, you know, finally there's justice for Solo Sanding, maybe then, you know, different activities will be taken up on.
The Solo Sanding Foundation, I founded it in 2017 now, when I came back from exile, and with the help of Muhammad, my brother, and some other family members, also some other people who in Gambia in the diaspora really helped me through it. And Solo Sanding Foundation is focused on propagating the legacy of Mr. Solo Sanding himself, advocating what he advocated. And basically in the transitional justice system, we look at security sector reform, things that made the police arrest Solo on that day, things that enabled them to torture, things that are letting them do the same things now, like the Public Order Act. So that's what we look at. But basically, the foundation works also with victims of torture, just like the April 14th, 16, and people who suffer from police brutality, which is one thing that Solo suffered from. And generally, we advocate and do the things that Solo was passionate about. We know that a lot of people didn't know Solo Sunday before April 14th, but he was a lot of things. He was involved in a lot of things. He was a community worker. He was someone who was involved in a lot of organizations. He believed in the rule of law. He believed in justice. He believed in a lot of things, and the foundation stands to advocate for that. But like I said, international justice is the process. We are working on security sector reforms and making sure that the government implements recommendations of the TRRC with regards to the security sector, that the police and the community understand their threat.
So Choi, I think, yeah. So now Mamadou Lamin Choi is here.
Yes. Thank you very much, Fatoumata. I just wanted to ask, now that this important judgment has been delivered by the High Court, to what extent do you think justice has been served for your father, and what does the family look forward to after this judgment?
Sometimes it's a very difficult question to ask.
Yeah, so Choi, I think we'll shift the conversation to you now. Yesterday you were at the court, so you can just quickly update us on what you saw and, what your take is on the whole trial process yesterday, considering you were physically there.
Thank you very much. It was a very emotional moment. The court was full to capacity, and lawyers, family members of the accused, the victim families, all of them were there, heavy presence of the security. This goes to emphasize how important this case is. It was a very high-profile case. So the handing down of the judgment started at 9 a.m. and ended around 9 p.m. So it is telling you how much work that needed to be done for a trial process that started 5 years ago.
Yes.
You understand? So finally, a judgment has been delivered. So the judge for this case was Justice Kumbasila Kamara of the High Court. And you realize that at least some have been sentenced to death, some attracted some other sentences from other counts ranging from 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Which they will serve. But what is important here to reveal is the fact that those who participated in the murder of Solo Sandeng have been sentenced to death, have been found guilty and convicted of that crime and sentenced to death. That is what the law says. And they are Seku Omar Jeng, Babukar Salla, Haruna Suso, Yusufa Jame, Masire Tamba, Lamin Dawo, Lameng Lang Sanyang, and Yankuba Baji, who was the former NIA director.
Right.
So they were standing, all of them were standing. Basically, the charges were many. So the prosecution pressed at least 25 charges against them. Some, they were found to be guilty. Some, the judge said, the prosecution did not prove beyond reasonable doubt, because for each of the counts, for each of the charges, the prosecution has that burden of proving beyond reasonable doubt that these people are guilty. So, except for one person, the court was not satisfied with the prosecution, and that person was released. And he is the 6th accused person, who is Yusufa Jame, who been discharged and acquitted by the High Court, meaning he's going back home to his family.
So, Mr. Mboch, how do you think this particular significant step from yesterday?
So maybe before Mboch comes, it is important to reveal here, before the judgment was issued, it was a quite emotional moment, because the judge asked them, now is the chance for you to say something. So they were given the platform to speak.
The accused.
Yes, to react
Okay.
to the judgment.
Right.
And when this happens, sometimes one can react, one can decline not to say anything.
Okay.
You know, the first accused, who is the former NIA director, said this. He said, "I beg for mercy on your sentence. As you can see, all of us are with family, with small kids. I'm begging for you to have mercy on your sentence." And then he broke down to tears. So this was the common message coming from all of those who've been convicted.
Wow.
And before the sentence was even handed down, there were some commotions, disagreement. If you heard Sanding mention something like that, it was between the family and the accused family, the convicted family.
Okay.
Two ladies sitting by. We were not able to establish who exactly they are, but these are people from the victim's family and the convicted.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, there were some arguments. One was saying, "Don't touch me. If you touch me," and then the commotion erupted into a fight. The PIU and the prison officers in the court intervened. The judge, the comportment of the judge was quite extraordinary, because in a trial, in a court setting, when you behave that way, it is regarded as a contempt of court. So everybody was saying, these people at the end of this, from here, they'll be going to prison. But the judge was so calm, and to some extent, she intervened to say, "I need silence in court, and if this continues, I am going to hold you to contempt." And then those who were making some noise and fighting were whisked out of the court premises, and they left. So it was quite emotional. And cases like this is what we would expect, because you have a family member who is sentenced to death and is going to serve his entire life in prison. It's quite an emotional moment, overwhelmingly emotional, and that's why we saw the atmosphere like that yesterday.
Okay, interesting. That's interesting. So
and all of them said something, but this represents generally the message from all of them.
Yeah.
And that was going to be one of my first questions. So this statement, Baji Yankuba, he made this statement before the conviction was handed. Once the conviction was handed, what were their responses, I wonder? What do you see in their face, the facial expression?
Yes. They were crying. Some of them broke down to tears. But they had nothing to say, because the judge said, "Well, I have heard from you, but according to the Constitution, murder charges, when you are found guilty, attracts death sentence. And the Constitution says, shall. It's mandatory. So even though you are given the opportunity to beg for clemency, but at the end of the day, the Constitution says it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything.
Had no discretion, really.
No.
Unlike the contempt one.
Yes,
they have a discretion whether to apply it or not. So what about the families? I wonder the responses of the families when this guilty verdict was delivered.
So some were crying, some were, very uncontrollable, saying all sort of things. When things like this happen, the family of Solo Sanding would believe that justice has been served, while the other somehow are dissatisfied with some anger, frustration all over the place, the atmosphere. And this is what happens, even for the Yankuba case. At some point, I had to decide what we get from the reactions we get. I had to filter what we get because of the messages coming from some of them. So basically,
might be uncomfortable.
Yes. This was the the atmosphere, how it looks like right after the judgment was handed down.
But Mr. Mboch, back to you. My question.
Yes. What was it? Remind me.
Just had to do with yesterday's development. It's direct link to the transitional justice process in the country.
Absolutely. When we realized that they were going to deliver the verdict, the excitement, myself, Ade, everybody else, and Mr. Choi here. So until late, we were just sort of wondering what would it be until afterwards we had it. A momentous moment, really, a momentous time, really. Because, as you said, the transitional justice process, we're trying to fight against impunity. For everybody else to see that you really cannot perpetrate certain crimes and get away with it. So a huge, huge moment, really. Just as when Yankuba Toure was sentenced, that was a huge one. And now we've got the NIA 9. Even when they started, you had a lot of critics saying that, oh, have these people really planned it? What's going on? They may mess it up. How come they've brought in people like Antuman Gay, didn't they, you know, to prosecute? You had all sorts of things. But it appears that with the verdict now, the government's decision appears to have been vindicated. Really. And you also realize that I wish I had asked her a question, because something like this, the verdict, the conviction, really part of that process towards closure. But of course here, as she said, they haven't found the body yet.
That's what she's talking about.
That burial.
That befitting
and we know how important that is. I mean, recently with the Patrice Lumumba one, after how many years, even
and
just with that,
was
with
important.
That absolutely, they had to go and bury that. So the agony, to some extent, I suppose, will still go on because of the opportunity for that burial.
Well, I think at the end of the time, this will serve as a relief, you know, for Solo Sanding's family. You know, it has been going for a very long time. Every day thinking about it. I mean, you know, it tried to freshen the wounds again. So I think, I mean, giving them their sentence, it's a sort of a relief for them. So were you able to engage some of the family members, I mean, who were present? I can see Sandang, it's telling us the mom was there. So were you able to talk to the wife of the late Solo Sandang?
I tried to speak to Mohammed Sandang.
You're right.
I tried. I asked him whether he would have something to say. He said maybe later, maybe later. He was quite emotional. All of them were quite emotional, that they couldn't immediately react. So this was the environment like yesterday. Both parties, the victim's family and the convicted, with some different emotions. One, relief, and the other, anger, frustration. So basically this was what happened. And even the prosecution, I forgot to mention his reaction, because when the sentence, before the sentence was handed down, the accused persons, were also given the chance to speak, and the prosecution finally spoke. And then he said, we are not accused of any conviction against the accused. I wish to congratulate you, that is the judge, on this historic judgment. The law has taken its course, and we leave everything in your capable hands. And he quoted a saying that the meat and the knife are in your hands. Where you cut it and how you cut it is up to you. And that was when the judgment was delivered finally. So, but we were not able to speak to any because of the highly charged atmosphere.
I think it's 11 already, so I am afraid we will have to let you go soon. But Mamadou Lamin Choi, I need to ask you this before you leave. You know, court cases, court reporting, it is something that journalists get to run away from. You know, oh, you have to go to the court. Oh, I don't want to go to the court. So why are you so passionate about court reporting? When it's court reporting, I see how much you are motivated, you know. Karisa Bagby and Buxi did them.
Absolutely.
You know, so tell me about that before we leave. I want to know.
Absolutely. It's not easy because court cases are very sensitive. You know, they're very sensitive, and since in the beginning, I think my first coverage, the coverage which I did was at the Janneh Commission. That was the first place that I've been taken for coverage. And since then, I developed the passion of going to the courts and reporting. But during all this time, I have always been very cautious, because whatever you write, if it is inaccurate, you might land yourself in trouble, because you could be charged for contempt of court. And I wouldn't want the reputation of this institution to be put at stake. I wouldn't want my reputation, my own reputation as a very young, So it is never easy. It's so complex. When I write from the court, in fact, I was telling them that I would need some time to sit down and then analyze the facts. So that, when I speak or when I write, at the end of the day, people will be well informed, everything will be accurate. So this is how my approach has always been when it comes to court cases. And I think the interest is lacking among many journalists in this country. Yesterday, I understand that the information did not reach the media soon. But when I saw it in the morning, even when I went out for coverage, my mind was still on this case. When I got back in the evening, I phoned the court, is it still on? They said yes, and then I said, I have to go. So this is all about passion,
and
I think.
Interest.
Yes, and interest, because I know how important the case is. The public interest is there, because as a journalist, whatever you do is to serve public interest. When you know this is a high-profile, coverage, and this is a matter of public interest. For me, I feel that sense of guilt when we do not have that on our news. When I do not report it, when I could have. So basically, it has been a passion, and really we've continued with the guidance of our editors.
So congratulations, for witnessing this historic moment.
Thank you
and
very much.
I am so impressed about how much you're able to capture very, very little things. Some of these little details that someone else might feel is not significant, but it is significant.
So I'm leaving the majority for the 8 o'clock news.
Okay.
So I wouldn't reveal everything.
Okay, don't give them. Well, you've already given them spoilers, so.
No, these are just to whet your appetite.
It's an appetizer.
It's an appetizer. Join us at 8 p.m. then. And you know what? I'll be reading the news, so I get to have the honor to read the preamble and listen to the brilliant report from Mamadou Choi. Thank you so much, and Mr. Mboch, thank you so much for joining us. So we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, I don't know if we're going ahead with Community Watch on President Barrow embarking on a site visit, or we're heading right onto the click segment. Okay, we're heading right onto the click segment. Bobo Dimo will be joining us live in the studio instead of, so we apologize for not being able to bring you President Adama Barrow's engagement on a side visit of ongoing development projects with Ansumana Isonyasi. Hopefully tomorrow we will be able to bring you updates in relation to that. We'll be right back.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network. Save up to 50% energy with the new side-by-side Samsung refrigerator. Samsung air conditioners come with HD filter and antibacterial for your protection. Save time, energy, and effort by using our washing machines, loaded with innovative features that offer superior cleaning technology. Step into the future of television with our slick and slim Samsung Smart TV designs. Sizes range from 32 to 85 inches. Smart LED, Crystal UHD Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dark LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV. Unparalleled vision, right from the comfort of your living room. Our products are backed with 1-year warranty. Visit us at QCell Building at Caraba Avenue or at Boost Turntable. Contact us on 333-2170 or email us at info@quantumnet.gm.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information. Q Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using Quick Pay on the Q Money platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with Q Money by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko. So, you know, from an emotional moment, you know, some serious conversation when it comes to court cases and final justice has been served. You know, let's just head right on to a little bit of entertainment. On the Click segment, we're joined by Churchill Balde with his guest in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jenna Bosonko. And anyways, today is a very special day. We're just from the Tobaski, and we have a way of getting back to the show, which is I have a guest all the way from Casamas, a Jola artist, and I also have a guest based in the Gambia, a Fula artist. So this is going to be interesting. I have a Jola and a Fula, and you already know, you know, the trouble between two tribes. But before we get there, I want to use this opportunity to say, to ask for forgiveness. We're just from the Tobaski, you know. You never know who you might have offended in the past, so I'm using this opportunity to say I have forgiven you, and I hope I'm forgiven. We hope that we witness many more Eid, inshallah.
There's
so,
something that I've done. If I tell you, tell me I will not forgive you.
Please don't. So it's up by Churchill Ballet, and I'm joined by the artist called Bobo Dimo. You know, charity begins at home, so we start with Bobo Dimo. How are you, bro?
I'm good, bro. And you?
I'm doing good. It's wonderful having you on this platform, and I guess you're a first-timer.
Yeah, first time.
So we'll allow you to introduce yourself and then talk to your fans.
Yeah, yetta mo kala wonda the QTV is Bobo Dimo Paiko Monkong. You know, we're here in QTV, like he said, for the first time on the TV, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And it has been a while doing things with you, and it's a pleasure to come on stage today. And like you said, you know, Eid Mubarak. You know, I hope nakala balde ak bari hope nag bi mbokut leen
ñun
moom ñu ngi okay nag bi mbokut ñu we doing great so
ñu ngi baax
it's nice to be in the building
so xam nga nag ndax sa nit ki fii am na ko taxawee nii joolaa bi
waaw sama gaay ñoom dañ bëgg a ndawal nag ñoom they like ndawal so much so maybe moom am lu ko dal I'm sure
waaw bro ñu laa dalal si suñu programme bi Ibu lañ fi am Ibu na Njaalo Ibu lañ fi am waaw jógee all the way from Casamance ñu bàyyi la nga nuyuwante ak sa fans yi waaw
salaamaaleykum maa ngi nuyu ñëpp xam nga maa ngi tudd Ibu ñu ma xamee si turu Ibu na Diallo dëkk Casamance jógee foofu noonu ñoo fii ni Gambia nekk ci diwaanu Katong bi nekk tamit Joola di représenter communauté West Africa bi di représenter communauté xam nga ñoo xamante ne ñoo ngi dund suñu musique bi rawatina nag mooy suñu culture. ni ɓe ñoodi ko joolek ne saaf ko tiyom ko paalom tanumi ko joola jeeyi Ibuna Diallo deede e sukayati Gambi di téléyati QTV be kay lobol mu ni man mine jaay eno jërëjëf
waaw moom nag mu ñëw jaay ne moom xam nga lu ma miin mu ngi rep culture boobu yaa ko gis de
foofu la
waaw foofu la so mas door ak yow boobu yow you're one of the finest artists in the Gambia appreciate ni la trop man suma maas yi xam nga lu ma miin saa ma dégg sa woy dama day feel xam nga motivated feel inspired ne someone ndaw mu ngi rep culture singing in your native language waaw ñu started loolu noonu why do you feel the need to sing in your native language?
I believe gëm sa bopp la rek believe in yourself and you know whatever you do so gëmee sa bopp rek you're gonna get through it so ñun bu ñoo door dañ daan woy leneen sax but we didn't have the family support because nekk ñu woon di déggal lu ñoo wax
okay
when we started singing Fula ñu gis ne xam nga everybody is coming up even the family ñu ngi door di understand lu ñoo woy and ñu ngi ko appreciate so we kept pushing it and yóbbu nañu fu sori right now yóbbu nañu let's say all over West Africa because of the Fula we sing and comme Pul bi dafa dem the language dafa dem so ñu nit ñu profité aussi rek di ko woy pour mu gën a mun a génn and it's nice luñ feel te du woy bi rek ci woy bi ci colin bi ci defin bi ci everything we try to culturenize it
culture bi daal foog mu feeñ rek
Fula bi Gambia bi and that's what we represent so ko bàyyi xel Fula bi du Guinea rek many people that's what they believe
wow so especially in the Gambia so where is it Pul you associate ko ak Guinea
so
and we have Fulas here
that's not the reality is Gambia bi tamit dañ fi bokkate dañ fi am doole and that's what we represent so we believe ne with the language of Pul bi ak culture bi mun nañoo génn mun nañoo génnee tamit mun naa génne music because music bi yàgg naa toog but with the culture and the vibe and the language mun nañoo génne mu yóbbu ñu to other places and it is happening.
Okay, so Lolo, one side of the story. You're singing in your native language. Okay, what are the positive aspect? How about challenges you face coming up?
Yes, so many challenges. Stigma bi, come what I just mentioned now.
Especially.
So many places, first thing they say, man, keep Pola because the way I dress and then they're fattening, Pul Gambian, you know what I'm saying? So then they fight lolu bokk na ci ñu dé over sonal but we getting over that because dañ gom suñ bop and no matter what they say still dañ ko represent and su yagé people gonna get used to it lolu lañ gom cause mi daf dé metti nak daf dé metti si all aspects si push lu ñoo def daf dé metti si support lu ñoo def you know what I'm saying so ko bayal mostly journalists yu bari dañ la wone yow yena ngi cool because poli mom dañ dé support poli dañ dé faté wone Gambian in they support poli. Poli then they support poli and it should not be like that.
And to add on to you, Lolo, come so by Gambia, you then they vibe to Afrobeat.
Yeah.
Understand a lot. Can you send the Gabi? Understand what I mean? You way in their local language. And I Gambian be the way Ibo like come I mean.
That's it. And we do Afrobeats, but we do Afrobeat with our own like instruments. We do tamberu in it, we do nyanyeru in it. So Nigerian we should dege luma way instant dafa xamne okay he's doing Afrobeat but he's a Fula.
Sure.
So Gambia la wala wala Guinea la wala Nigeria la suma lake English ne Gambian la.
Exactly.
If I did French then I xamne Guinean la wala Senegal but we fuse the English in it put one land the side that we come from. So we're representing both the culture and the nation in the vibe we do. So that is basically what we're doing, Negative aspect mom lol la come stigma ñu over sonal, but we getting over it ndanka.
Waaw ba comme waroon nañu switch to moom. Waaw li ñuy def mooy dañu dem sa music video and when we're back it's more juice with Boba Diwo and Ibu. Stay tuned.
soro yamba yo maudo mo kata o ya dai le rundo o ardai go dede o ne nambiro yo baba mbora ye ande mi weldike soro yamba yo soro yamba ino oduno ala ande no oduno ala ino oduno ala ande no oduno ala ino oduno sukune nyalande do yo betola mi andu no na ino oduno I'm here for you my girl, I'm here for you till death with you anything that you want I'll get for you I'm here for you my girl, I'm here for you till death with you anything that you want I'll get for you yeah soro yamba yo maudo mo kata soro yamba oya dai lulu soro yamba o ardai ko dede soro yamba one nambiro yo soro yamba baba mbora ye soro yamba ande mi weltike soro yamba yo soro yamba are wadenga wela are wadenga futa are wadenga wela langandira fami ajiwo yo ko anjiwo yo le idalaba foti da fami mosanambe jiwo bongule joda patolambe emi mami andi mi bengu mosanambe jiwo bongule joda patolambe ida jalba wo dereka kambu soro yamba yo soro yamba maudo mo kata soro yamba oya dai lundu soro yamba o ardai ko dede soro yamba one nambi soro yamba baba mbora ye soro yamba ande mi weltike soro yamba yo soro yamba I'm here for you, my girl, I'm here for you. Till death with you, anything that you want, I'll get for you. I'm here for you.
Well, welcome back from that wonderful piece. Bowo Diwo giving you the very best of his songs.
Yes.
Bowo Diwo song Bowo is very nice.
Yeah.
Appreciating ko trop.
Thank you.
My bay hal sa sun jola bi fi sa mu non bay.
Jola pul mom.
Mu non bay to the song.
Sure.
So legi yow Ousmane wona la what genre of music do you do?
I do good music or I do great music.
Okay. So Bugolo place yourself in a box.
I don't think so. I just do great music. Although obviously we are all doing Afro music because Afro means Afro is African.
Yeah.
So but different from like Afro beats a little bit because of the instruments that we use in it. So digloli dinga dega tambe du flute, dinga dega nyanyero, dinga dega kasak, you know. These are full instruments. And nyanyero is a Gambian instrument. Tamberu is a Guinean instrument, so we fuse everything. It's just like a putoro and a tengare.
So we switch to my Jola brother here, Ibu Nanjalo.
Wow. It's not Ibu Nanjalo, but Ibu Najalo.
Ibu Najalo.
Najalo, yeah. Najalo mo neka si Jola kum like
Ibu Axina. Yeah. Oh, Ibu Axina. Yeah. So legi Ibu malakala legi yow sa journey si music nakala dori. Na nga starté am nga be tolu yow for Axina.
Yeah. Loolu naa am mbégte di ko tontu because maa ngi dooree si xam nga school yi dañ dee am balaa école yi di tëj benn fête buñ dee organise ñun Fosco lañ ko dee waxee
naka Fosco
yeah
okay
in France noonu lañ koy waxee
okay loolu lu mean Fosco lu mean
comme boo leen jàngee ba pare balaa ngeen di tëj school yi dañ dee organise ñetti days yoo xamante ne fête lay doon puis daf dee am party daf dee am élection miss concert yooyu noonu man si foofu laa dooree dañu invite on benn artiste ndeysaan yal na suuf sedd si kaw mu ngi tudd Lamine Sane Jen Samin mu nekkoon artiste bu mag biir Casamance mais xam nga bu mu ñëwee foofu noonu dama ko doon enjoy balaa moom moo eeg amoon na benn DJ bu fa nekkoon kooku suma waay la woon ma ne ko ma ñëw ba si moom ma ne ko mbaa doo ma tegal benn beat si rek boo amoon na benn jamono yi reggaeton moo xewoon R&B ma ne ko mbaa doo ma tegal benn beat rek man tamit moo ñëw perform because feel naa ni xam nga fii ma fi yéegee dama am dara
di nga yëngal bu baax
noonu la fa demee mu ñëw ñu xejaloo ma dóor benn sound beat rek laa teg ma nekk si kawam after gars yi ne ma non dolli ma mujjee playwaat ba ñetti track understand nga musique bi noonu la dooree si man après ma nekk di ko dund si biir dëkk bi di ko defantoo noonu ba finalement may dem di record après nit ñi di love li may def ma gis ni carrément lii war naa ko mën a fulal.
war nga ko mën a fulal si sa yëf. ba yëg ko. après mos ni tamit xam nga crowd bi tamit seen feedback daf da leen gën a yokkal doole fii am na ñu bëri ñoo xam ne doon nañ fi ay artistes comme mais bi nañ jóg rek freestyle rek am na benn artiste bu ñu ooyee Big Rose mu ne moom dafa egg nii freestyle rek tamindu understand what I mean moom noonu la si continuer bu am feedback bu baax crowd bi ku nekk di ko wane yaa ngi baax noonu la continuer
moo lay woon ni léeg-léeg nit ki lu nekk si yow ñi lay gis
ñoom ñoo ko mën a
ñoom ñoo koy mën a yees yow. nice benn instant te man tamit noonu la fa demee.
ok so yow yan artiste nga liggéeyal Bill Casamance.
liggéey naa ak sama benn xarit Demo Mike ñu koy woowee aka Konobayo liggéey naa ak sama rakk bu jigéen tamit mu ngi université.
sa rakk bu jigéen tam mu si aar. macha allah nu mu tudd
Tantu yee. boo déglee sama song si baatu jigéen bi nga dee dégg noonu moom la.
ok
waaw def naa ak moom tamit def naa ak Kabi tamit. sound ak suma producer bi Serious Black ak yeneen artiste tamit quoi yeah
nice so duñ def dara lu dem seetaan sa music video and when we're back ñu gën a waxtaan stay tuned.
Ikanata, mashita, nitetata tengi bafole kanata le, nangata dukare na musuba, itenta ikomo subaka kana maleya. Wenge o nilenge, baby nani yole sumbe. Wenge o nilenge, my baby nani yole sumbe. Galiyo imanguta keneleta. Galio imabuta kena kanuta wa bareyo jakumbe kama nutepa kama ni mangi kuja tupak bebo tripa esumbe my baby nani yone sumbe wakane esumbe my baby nani yone sumbe wakane direct wakane nani ngwale tieke ne kori mate sumbe nani sumbut pani unyeta rekom ni nyet nani jalo bete fono pani put fakor ngwale tiole sumbe ni wakili mani bakor kambuka mo now come on, let's see that come on. I'll be Jesus Calamor, baby. Galio imanguta kena leta, Galio imabuta kena kanuta wa bareyo jakumbe kama nutepa kama ni mangi kuja tupak bebo tripa esumbe. My baby nani yone sumbe, ekunume esumbe. Baby nani yone sumbe.
Welcome back. We are having fun from the Fula to the Jola. The Jola guy killing it right here. Ibu bo dohna torop man sibir song bi bayna si hel rap understand dancehall bi comme fusion la dal yep sibir. Waaw so legi ñu letté rek la moy secret lolu. Luy secret bi.
Sank ni mang koy dégg ci ay wax sama mbokk bi lu mu doon wax sank. moom musique bu muy def mu ngi koy jaarale si cosaanam. man ma koy jaarale sama cosaan keneen ak keneen mu koy jaarale si cosaanam mais boo xoolee cosaan bi yëpp Afrique benn boo bokkut ak kii ndey ak baay di nga bokk ak kii yaay wala nga bokk ak moom papa. comprendre nga. te man dama gis ni musique communication la si communication boobu noonu da ngay combiner ay affaire yooyu noonu laa jéem a combiner li ma moom ak keneen li mu moom jéem ko def benn mu joxaat la leneen.
This guy is so talented. So bala ñoo tagato ñu laajte la yow si la nga nekk di yëngu ban projet nga nekk di def la ñu expect from yow. Waaw sunu mu gën a gaaw.
Nañu dog de.
Wax ñu yow si la nga yëngu ak la moo la isi Gambia fii nii right now.
Nice. Li ma bàyyi Casamance moo ma isi fii tamit. Waaw liggéey bi right now ñu ngi si projet inshallah 9 octobre dañoo launch suñu EP bi after
waaye Churchill dafa mel ni 30 seconds lañ am waaw su boobaa xam naa moom foog mu ñëwaat
waaw kii foog mu ñëwaat because dégg naa ne mu ngi war a am show at Abuko Friday bii nii waaw so ngeen expect ko he is coming Abuko massive yeah so that is all we have for you on the click segment
so viewers that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV this morning so till we come your way on Monday but please do stay tuned as Ansumana Isonyasi We'll be live shortly on President Adama Barrow embarking on site visits on development projects in the country. Bye for now.